Many a times we find ourselves in some form of conflict by the people we are closely related to. It could be in the families where we live. It could be in our workplaces. It could be in our religious sectors, or even in our political inclinations. During conflict, what do we need to do? We need to be observant. That one we can find in the verses 6 and 8 of chapter 13. Let's read. But the land was unable to support both of them while they stayed together, for they had so many possessions that they were unable to coexist. And there was discord between the herdsmen of Abram and the herdsmen of Lot. At the time, the Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land. So Abram said to Lot, "Please, let there be no contention between you and me, or between your huntsmen and my huntsmen. After all, we are brothers." So what did Abram observe? He observed that the huntsmen of Lot and his own huntsmen had conflict. Every time they would take the livestock out, they would come back maybe looking for solutions from them, or they would sort it out on their own. But he observed this. And that's how we should be. If there is something that is causing conflict, as a Christian, just observe, see what is happening, and find the root cause. Now the conflict was between the huntsmen, but what was the root cause of this? So in our situation, if you look back into your family, or we look back into where we work, look back into our religious sectors, what conflicts are there? And what is the root cause? That's what we should be asking ourselves. What is the root cause? Abram was observant, and that's how we should be. Then, after being observant, what do? We need to have wisdom. And we know that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And how is wisdom showed in this chapter that we are reading? Verse 8 says, "So Abram said to Lot, 'Please, let there be no contention between you and me, or between your huntsmen and my huntsmen. After all, we are brothers. Is there not the whole land before you? Now separate yourself from me. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left.'" This was wisdom. No, Abram was the uncle. In our situation here, most of the times you'll see the elder person will try to dictate to the younger. I would just imagine that if there was this kind of conflict, and Abram was like a mentor to Lot, probably you would have told him, "You just leave and look for some land somewhere and stop causing trouble here." But he was wise enough to even humble himself despite his age. He used the word please, please. And he also let Lot go first. So we see here a lot of humility and wisdom that can only come from God. So let us fear God, and in our conversations, let us be wise. Then after that, we see that he honored his commitments. the piece of land was there, yes, and Abraham had seen that there is enough land. But when Lot was given the right to choose first, he chose the best part of the land. So in our case, if we give somebody a leeway and he decides to grab what is the best, what would we do in our situation? Maybe we would complain or even start a fight. But Abraham didn't do that. Let us look at verse 10. It says, "And Lot looked out and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan, all the way to Zoar, was well watered, like the land of the Lord, like the land of Egypt." This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Verse 11, "So Lot chose the whole plain of the Jordan for himself and set out towards the east, and Abram and Lot parted company." So they parted ways, and Abram did not complain. He allowed him to go to the place where he had chosen. Can we honor our commitments? If we are solving conflicts and we find that what we had thought is not what has happened, like maybe he thought probably this one will decide to go to the other side, but the outcome was that he got the unfavorable place, So if you make a commitment, just stick to it. Then in all this, when we are trying to manage or solve some conflicts, do we get carried away and leave God in the picture? No. We should continue serving God, living in God, and doing that which is right. And this we find in verse 4 of the same chapter and verse 18. Let us look at verse 4, to the site where he had built the altar. And there Abraham called on the name of the Lord. Verse 18. "So Abraham moved his tent and went to live near the oaks of Mamre at Hebron, where he built an altar for the Lord." So you see, after they parted ways, he had to move away from where they had settled initially, and he remembered to build an altar for the Lord. Abraham continued serving the Lord, and he had served the Lord before, and he continued serving him even in the new place. When conflicts come at our homes, when conflicts come in our religious sectors, what do we do? And as Christians, we should be observant, be wise, honor our commitments, and abide in God.